Hi everyone, my name is Abu Bakr, and I work at Hugging Face. So at Hugging Face, we release a lot of libraries with the open source community. So we share the source code and we welcome contributions. But one of the big things that we hear all the time is, how do I actually contribute to open source? Like I have this idea for a new feature, or I found a bug and I really want to fix it. How can I make that contribution? And if you've never contributed to open source before, it can be a little bit daunting. So in this video, I'd like to step by step walk you through very practically these steps in order to make an open source contribution. So step number one, find a library that you want to contribute to. Now, this could be one of the Hugging Face libraries, or it could be a different repo that you find on GitHub. But the advice that I would say is find a library that you use yourself and that you see some sort of pain with. Again, some sort of bug or some sort of feature you really want to include in the library. Because that way, whatever contribution you make will be useful to the users of the library, you being one of them. Now, in this case, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to pick this library, the Trackio library. It's an experiment tracking library from Hugging Face. And it's a pretty lightweight library. It's very similar to like weights and biases or Neptune AI if you've used those. You don't actually need to know or have used this library in order to follow this video. It's just an example, but you can check out the repo if you'd like to understand more. Now, step number two is to look at the issues in that repo. Now, the reason this is important is because if you want to add something or fix a bug, it's very good practice to create an issue first, so that the maintainers of that library, that repo, they can chime in and say whether this is a reasonable feature to add, or if this bug is actually what we expect or not. And oftentimes what you'll find is whatever bug that you found, someone has already created an issue for it, and there might have already been discussions with the collaborators or with the maintainers of that repo. And one other thing that you'll find is in many bugs, many issues have this may have this good first issue label. And this is a great way for maintainers of the library to tag and to designate specific issues as, hey, if you're new to open source, if you're new to this library, start here. So for the purpose of this video, let's actually pick one of these issues and actually solve it. So you can see there's a few different issues here. Some of them are enhancements. There's a bug here that was created by one of the users of Trackio, actually one of the maintainers of Trackio. And what it says here is that Trackio has this UI, this kind of dashboard. And it says here that the plots on this dashboard are, sometimes they are kind of, they appear in this row. You can see 3 plots in a row here, but sometimes they tend to appear in this kind of vertical layout, this almost like as a column. And this inconsistency is bothering this user. Great, let's try to fix this. Let's pick this issue. So the third thing that you do after you found an issue that you want to work on is fork the repo. And what that means is when you go to the main page of the repo, you can click this fork button. And what this will do is this will create a copy of the code for you to work on. So you can see, this is forking the repo. It's pretty fast. It usually appears, what will happen is you'll see the code appear under your username. So Abid Labs is my username. It'll appear under your username. And now I actually have a URL for this repo and I can clone it locally. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go to my terminal. I'll do git clone. I'll type it in. And you can see now it's cloning this repo. All of that will appear locally. And now I can see the files here. And, there could be a lot of files. So how do I know where to start contributing? So the next step is actually to look at the contributing guidelines. Now, this is very important. And you can actually look at this earlier. I've just picked this step because the contributing guidelines oftentimes give you an idea of how the project is organized. So you can see here project structure. It says here there's certain files here, the init.py, run.py, and this contains the user-facing Python API. All right, then there's this UI folder, and this contains the application that provides the web interface. Now, this is really important because, in the issue that we are looking at, it's a UI-related issue. So probably the bug will be inside this UI folder. And so this narrows it down a little bit. And then there's information for the development setup. So we'll come back to this. The next step now is actually to fix this bug that we found. Now, here's where AI assisting tooling can help significantly. So let me open up, I'm using Cursor here. And so I'm going to open up the chat in Cursor. Again, this you can use, Claude, ChatGPT, whatever you'd like. And I'm just going to paste in the UI folder because I'm pretty sure that the bug is there. I can say, sometimes the metrics plots appear in a row and sometimes they appear in a column. fix this bug. Okay. And so I'll let the agent run off and do its thing. And it'll kind of do that. And so that was pretty fast. It looks like it's already done it, and it gives an explanation for it. Now, this is very interesting. It's very important if you're making a contribution to look at the actual code changes that were made, as well as read the explanation so you have an idea. Now, in this case, again, we're not going to focus too much on what the fix actually was, or we're not going to focus too much on the internal kind of code in Trackio. That's not the purpose of this. But what is kind of nice to see is that the fix is very self-contained. That's nice. That'll make it easier for the maintainers to review the changes. Just one line of code. Great. It also makes sense intuitively. Let's make sure that makes sense, because basically we were missing this orientation label on this draggable class, but we had it in a different draggable class over here. So that explains the inconsistency. Now that you've made the change, the next step is to actually test this change. So in here, you can take a look at the development setup. This oftentimes has instructions on how to set up the library locally. And sometimes you might have to modify things if it doesn't work in your environment or anything like that. Oh, let's go ahead and log in here. And then, yeah, we'll go ahead and install this. And so now I've installed Trackio, and I can do this. So now it's important to actually test and make sure the change actually fixed it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually first undo this change that I did. Okay, so I'm going to undo this. And then I'm going to, and by the way, I'm not expecting you to know how to set up and launch Trackio, but you can find all this information in the README if you don't already know. But Trackio show is just how you launch this dashboard locally. And you can see, yes, we can see the issue that the user described here. You can see some of the plots appear in this kind of row, but some of them appear in this vertical kind of format. So when I make my change, so let me go ahead and make this change again. The change was here. I'm gonna go ahead and make it again. Okay, so we've made this change. Now I can relaunch this Trackio dashboard, and let's see if it fixes the issue. And great, it looks like it's fixed the issue. Everything's now appearing in this kind of row-based format, which is what we want. All right, so now we can go ahead and push this change. So now I'm going to add it. I'm going to just provide a useful message, fix row orientation, and then push. And so now I can see here that I've made some changes, and I'll see a message something like this. This branch is one commit ahead of the main branch. And so now I can open up a contribution. So now I can open up a pull request. And now it'll say something, I can add a title here, fix row orientation of metrics plots. It's good to have a descriptive title. And you can see there's oftentimes a PR contribution template. So I'm just going to fill it out over here, just add a short description. This PR fixes the row orientation of the row column orientation bug in the metrics plot. Great. And then there's some checkboxes and stuff here, which I'll check after. Okay, so actually, no, this is useful. So what it says here is we encourage the use of AI tooling in creating PRs, but it should be disclosed. So let's go ahead and add a message here. I used AI to fix the bug. Simple change was done by cursor. All right, great. And I can go ahead and say this closes which bug was this? This was the plots per row bug. Great. So I'm going to create this pull request here. And great. So I have this pull request that now I've opened up in the main Trackio repo. I'm going to check this. This is a bug fix. And now, normally, there's oftentimes some GitHub actions that run after you make a pull request. This may not run automatically. So you might have to wait till the maintainers approve that. And you can see some bugs some checks might fail. So in this case, the format check failed. The formatting is not right. Because I didn't format my code. So let's go ahead and copy this command and let's run it. And now let's push this change again. Format. So push this. And let's see now in this case, the CI is going to run again. The formatting is going to run again. And then eventually, hopefully, we'll find that the CI is completely green. That means everything is ready to go. Now, that's basically it. Now you've made a contribution. One thing I will mention, it's very important, is you may have seen in the PR screen. So let me go back and go to the edit. Actually, can I still edit it? Let me go back a little bit. Oh, I don't think I can do that anymore. But there was a checkbox that opened up when, let me go back to the main repo. Yeah, so there was a checkbox that opened up that said allow the maintainers. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, allow edits by maintainers. This is very important. Always check this because sometimes the maintainers will have small changes they want to make to your PR before they merge it in. So this just makes that process much smoother. Great, CI is running, and that's basically it. Now I have my contribution. If the maintainers approve it, then they can go ahead and merge it in, or they might have feedback for me, in which case I can edit my PR to address that feedback, and then hopefully it'll come out in the next release of the library. Thanks so much, and looking forward to your contributions.